Strange, because I had this instilled sense of duty where even though I'm in a jail cell and I can't leave, and even though I'm cripplingly bored, I don't feel like I had time to feel pain, or I didn't feel like I had time to be a victim.
You had nothing but time.
No, I didn't have time.
What are you talking about?
Because everyone outside still relied on me. So when I would get on the phone, people would say,
is that avoidance though?
I don't know.
Do you keep busy? Do you avoid your feelings by keeping busy? Being on the computer all the time?
All the things I had to do still had to be done. Just because they threw me in a cell, it just made it more difficult, which means I have less time than ever because the difficulty's been increased. And when I would get on the phone, we wouldn't discuss how I'm feeling. I'd be worried about how everyone else is. They'd be like, how are you? Yeah, I'm in jail. What's going on with this? Are you okay? Are your bills paid? Are press hassling you? I was worried about fixing everyone else's problems from jail more than I was concerned about myself or my own mental well-being. And if I felt particularly, when I say pain, pain's an awkward one. I don't know if I felt pain because I don't feel sorry for myself, and I've developed this mindset of such absolute accountability that even though what happened to me I believe was unfair, and even though I'm completely innocent, I didn't think, why? I didn't think, why is this happening? I didn't think, why me? I didn't think, oh, this is unfair. Like, none of these things crossed my mind. I was like, this is garbage. However, you can't become the most Google man in the world without, with every light has a dark, right? Like, let's be realistic about this. I'm thrown in a jail cell. Do I belong here? No. But am I here? Yes. I was pretty logical about it. Hey, don't I care that the media continues to attempt to slander me continuously, and they don't do it to anybody else, and it's unfair that they're doing it to me, because if I was a genuine sexual predator like the people they defend, I'd be protected by these people. If I was going into girls' toilets, they wouldn't say anything bad about what I was doing. Why are they, the fact that it's so unfair and it's so pervasive and it's so aggressive, why doesn't it bother me?
It doesn't bother you?
I don't think it does, but it's not real. But let's do it. If what they were saying was true, it would bother me.
Yeah.
But genuinely, because I know it's all garbage, it's all lies, it's water off a duck's back. Everything they say is a lie, so it doesn't really affect me. And I will sit and say that.
But I know for me it's painful when I'm not seen. Like, my goodness isn't seen, right? Like, it's painful, or people misrepresent the things that I say, or judge me because of my association with you. Like, it's painful, I'm not seen.
Correct.
Right, and that can make me angry and maybe cause, I don't know, some kind of negative reaction within me, and I guess I'm just curious, like, isn't it painful in some way? Like, people, because there's a lot of people out there, they don't see you, they don't see your goodness, they only see the dark part of you, where they project their own darkness onto you, or their father's darkness, or Trump, whoever the fuck it is, they project that onto you. In some way, isn't that like?
But those people are already paying the price.
But those people, but for you, I'm saying for you, your inner.
It doesn't bother me because those people are already paying the price for their ignorance.
Be 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, and you don't know how long you're going to be in there for, and you have no control over anything, and you don't sleep very well. People think you can sleep it off, but you can't. The jail is very loud. There's a lot of distressed people in there, a lot of upset people. Energy is sad. Yeah, it's a bad place to be. But you just have to find the best way to do it. And I certainly allowed myself to feel a lot of emotions in there that I could have probably blocked out, so that I could learn as many lessons as possible. And I've learned a lot of things. I think jail in many ways is just pressurized life. And if you feel a little bit angry outside of jail, you'll be very angry in jail. It's pressurized life, and you can't distract yourself with anything. You distract yourself, but you're left alone with your thoughts, and you can't distract yourself. And God decided to put me in there to learn some things. And I think it just confirmed a bunch of things I already knew. And I think it was a chance for me to prove to him and to prove to myself I'm not full of shit. Never. But it's good when you get tested. No, but this is actually the truth. Top G, right? It's a name, it's a nickname, blah, 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 Top G. The basic premise behind it, and why I'm idolized by all these young men especially, is I'm Top G, the number one G, the guy who can do anything. He's the guy. I never for a second when I was saying it didn't mean it. I never for a second when I was saying it thought I was full of shit. So God was like, okay, let's find out if he's full of shit.
You said you experienced depression, some form of depression or depressive feelings and sadness in prison. What were the thoughts that were coming up? What was happening?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty, which is the first thing
That has to be scary.
It is scary. It's scary.
And also because you're a man who's totally in control of your world, of your life, and that's almost like an imperative for you, and that gives you power. And all of a sudden, you're thrust into a situation where you're essentially helpless.
Well, you just nailed it. You completely nailed it, because I was exactly about to say it's the uncertainty that I struggle with the most, because in my life, I'm in charge of everything. I know exactly how everything works, and I'm the boss, and I get to control absolutely everything. And this is the first time in a long time I'm in a scenario where I have no power whatsoever, no influence, basically. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody else knows what's going to happen. And also in my world, I'm the hero, right? I'm the head of the clan. Not just my family, but of a lot of people. A lot of people rely on me. Lots of women rely on me. Children rely on me, etc. So everyone comes to me every time there's a problem. So they continue to do that while I'm in a jail cell, expecting me to have some kind of answer. And I'm like, well, I don't have an answer this time. Every other time I had an answer, but this time is a bit unique.
How did that feel? You don't have the answers. You can't help.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating. It's very frustrating, and it's the uncertainty that would bother me. I don't think I felt sad very often, but I certainly felt extremely frustrated. I would sit there and think, there has to be a way out of this room. Not breakout, but like there must just be some words I can say, someone I can talk to. There must be a way. It's only a door. Like I can't just be stuck in this room. And it was hyper frustrating. Yeah, and the uncertainty of it is also scary, because in my situation, every 30 days they decide if they hold you longer or not. And I was encountering people who had been in there for years in my scenario. So,
well, the uncertainty is a form of torture, really.
it happened because I became monumentally successful and I became monumentally influential, and the world is a battlefield.
You did create it. In some way, you co-created it. Like you knew this was going to happen, and so there may be some way, unconsciously, you wanted it to happen. Like, so now we're here, and maybe you need this in some way. Need this test to really feel yourself, to know how strong you actually are. I mean,
I wasn't looking for a war this large. I wouldn't say I was looking for it. But I wasn't ignorant to the fact that it might happen, and I wasn't afraid. I did a lot to avoid it.
You did. Well, and you want the fight, either way.
I guess so, because how else do you matter, right? I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that...
Yet, on the other side of this, how strong will you be? Stronger than you could be otherwise, that's for sure, and have more power and influence of it.
If you take the lessons from it, and if we want to, once again, talk about being as formidable as possible, then I don't think jail... Okay, it's given me nightmares, but I don't think it's made me weaker. Could have gone through the exact same experience with a different mental model and emerged weaker. So that's a unknown area of the map explored, but I do believe that I'm more powerful than ever. I believe that my fight actually has far-reaching repercussions for society now. I think that however this plays out is going to affect society in real time. Well, if you are a force for good, then the evil is going to attack you, isn't it? And I do genuinely believe this is the battle of good versus evil in the world today. I believe the things I say most people knew were true only 10 to 15 years ago. And I think that there is an evil force in the world which is extremely deceptive, and they are out to try and silence me, not because what I say is wrong, it's in fact because what I say is right.
Are you in a fight with God on some level, like not literally, but unconsciously, between His will and your will?
No, I think I am doing His will. I think I am doing His will, which is what it takes to be truly successful in the world. I do believe that the moral arc of the universe does bend towards truth. And that's not my saying. I think that's Martin Luther King's. But I think that it bends towards truth and justice in the end. I think that the battles we are currently fighting in society, which look hopeless, in the end can be won. And I feel like I am doing His will by standing up and telling the truth. I think I'd have to be a complete coward of a man to end up having all of the masculine youth of a planet paying attention to every word I say, and then say, oh, but if I tell them good things, if I help them and help the world by extension, I might get in trouble. That made me a bitch, and that's not who I am. So I think if you give any man worth his salt that degree of power and influence and responsibility, he's going to stand up and say, okay, this is how you should live as a man, and this is how you can make the world a better place. Unless he's afraid of the repercussions by the evil people, by the people who are on the other side, who are genuinely evil and satanic, who are out to destroy good and truth. And I'm not a coward. I've never seen myself as a coward. And in fact, we don't talk about vulnerability. The number one thing I could never exist as is a coward. I think that's, you want to talk about my biggest fear, it would be knowing I'm a coward. Seeing myself as a coward, and being very realistic and knowing I was actually a coward. I couldn't accept that, because I feel like I would be disappointing all of my ancestors and God, and I would have been full of shit all the time I was talking. Now I'm a fake, now I'm a liar, And I'm none of those things.
Right.
When I say to the camera and I sit here and talk about depression not being real, I mean what I say, because I've lived enough shit to tell you that if depression was real, I would have been depressed. And people know that, which is why they listen to me in the first place. I would hate to look in the mirror and know I acted like a coward on that scenario. I can't be that person. So,
Courage is the highest virtue, I think.
you think so?
Courage, love.
Well, I like to think of myself as a man with plenty of love in his life and a very loving man. You're competing against every other man on earth. You should be as competitive as you possibly can. Anything that's inside of your mind which doesn't allow you to be competitive should be erased. This is why I can't name a weakness. I can't name a weakness I have. I've compensated so heavily for any weakness that may exist, I don't even see them anymore.
Is your belief in God tied into this concept that we talked about, that what's useful is more important than what's true, or better than what's true? So we don't, do we know that God exists? I mean, we don't know.
Correct.
But it's useful to believe in God.
That's a very good question. I think that believing in God certainly makes you more powerful,
Yeah.
which is proof for God. If God makes you more powerful, then God is real. So maybe that's very simplistic, but if I believe in God and I'm a more powerful version of myself because I believe in Him, then He must exist.
Yes.
God has made me more powerful.
Well, it's the act of believing Him that makes Him exist. It's another way of saying what you just said.
Correct, yeah. So this is why I believe faith is such an important thing. But I think everybody has a God anyway.
Yes.
There's no such thing as atheists. If you look at the people who say, oh, I don't believe in God, they worship a flag and a vaccine.
Yeah.
So everyone believes in something.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what your religion is. And I, once again, refuse to believe anything that takes away power from me. I believe in things that make me more powerful. And I believe that believing in God gives you a new degree of strength. And I also think everybody to some degree believes in God. I don't care what anybody says. If you put anyone in that submarine just before it imploded, everyone would pray. Everyone. So it's ignorant to even say you don't believe in God at this point.
It's interesting that you chose Islam, and I heard you talk a little bit about how you see God in Islam. It's kind of, I don't know how harsh it is, but like firm and directional and clear, and this is right and this is wrong, which sounds a lot like your dad.
Well, it sounds a lot like life.
Yeah, like life.
There's right and wrong in life. All this complete subjectiveness, this mush they're trying to create,
Yeah.
is done on purpose to confuse us.